getting started. My name is Karime. I am one of the access coaches here at Let's Get Ready. I'm the one that you've been receiving messages from for the past few weeks. Quick thing about me, I'm from New York. I graduated college last spring, so about to make like a year since graduating. And I've been a part of Let's Get Ready for about 2 years now. So in this workshop, we're gonna cover what's exciting about college, some common concerns about college, such as the fact that applications are a lot of work. We'll also talk a little bit about being in a new and potentially very different environment. We'll also discuss college affordability and whether it's worth it, as well as what are some of your personal motivations, and then we'll close out. So I do want to make a quick announcement. In addition to the long-term raffle that we mentioned over text messages, we will also be having mini raffles during each workshop. So we're gonna have about like one workshop a month. So I can't do the math right now, so just keep that in mind. So as for how you can earn points for the raffle today, you can earn 1 point by unmuting and participating in the large group. You can earn another point by asking a question. And if you keep your camera on for the whole workshop, you automatically earn 2 points. And by earning points, you'll be working towards winning a $25 Tango gift card, which gives you access to a lot of stores, food services, and more. So for this raffle, please make sure to change your Zoom name to have your first and last name. This is for attendance purposes. Obviously, if you win and we don't have your name, then that's going to be a problem. So just make sure that your Zoom name is your correct first and last name. And aside from that, we can now start talking about college. So we're going to talk about college excitement as well as the common concerns that students have. We're going to talk about why people choose to go to college, as well as some of the common concerns, and hopefully provide you some real insight into how we can alleviate some of these concerns. And later on, we'll even start talking about what kind of college environment you're looking for, since there are so many different options available. Okay. So we're going to start off with a Jamboard so that I can gain some insight on your perspective of college. If you haven't heard of a Jamboard, it's kind of like this Google board where you can add in all your responses to a given question. So the first question that we're going to ask you to add your answers in are, what are some of the reasons why people decide to go to college? And so Sarah, our moderator, just chatted in the Jamboard link, so you can feel free to just click on that link and start adding in your responses. I invite you to either share on the Jamboard or chat in your response if you're having any trouble accessing the Jamboard, or if you're confident enough, you can unmute yourself and share your responses. And if you notice that someone added a response that you were going to share, just add a +1 next to it. Or if you agree with something that someone shared, you can add a +1 to that as well. Let's see. So I'm gonna stop sharing just so I can show you the Jamboard. That way we can all see what's being added at the same time. Oof, we already got a lot of responses. The experience, opportunity, lies, not lies, earning better opportunities. Whoa. Earn a degree and enter the workforce. That's definitely a big one. I have to agree. By earning a degree, you are better able to position yourself to get better job opportunities. To get a job, that's a real one. Yeah, to get a job, to begin career, earn a degree, career goals. I see you guys are very career focused, which I like. People go to higher education to get better paying job. Want to be a role model for younger brother. I love that. Oh, yes. I have 2 younger brothers and I was the first one to go to college. So literally like seeing them now in college is really it's full circle moment. So thank you for sharing that. Learning more about your intended major. It's really good. Okay, let's see. Learn skills. That's another one. Great place. Okay, so I think those are like the majority of responses. I see that there's a common trend regarding career, which is very true. Part of getting a college degree is because you have a career that you want to pursue. Um, I forgot to mention that networking is one of them. So thank you guys for that. Let me just reshare my screen. Okay. So now that we've answered the first question, thank you guys once again for participating. I love your different point of view about college. We're gonna do another Jamboard, and this time we're actually gonna flip it. We're gonna be sharing what are some things that might intimidate people about college. Same rules as the first Jamboard. If someone put a response that you were gonna put, just add a +1. If you agree with something, you can add a +1 to it as well. Let me see. I believe, is it the same Jamboard? My bad.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna return to the Jamboard again and then reshare my screen. Technical difficulty. So now we'll be on the second slide. So I see you guys already started putting in answers, financial costs, financial stability, the time and effort required, money, getting accepted or not sure what they want to do. That is true. And I want to say that it's completely okay if you don't know exactly what you want to do at this moment. There's a lot of time ahead for you to decide. Trust me, there are college sophomores who still haven't chosen a major, and that's completely fine. That's what college is all about, is exploring all these different opportunities. So do not fret. Application process, money, costs, commitment, balancing schools and new responsibilities, living away from home. That is very true, especially if you decide to go out for school, like go out of state. It is a lot of responsibility. And in general, now entering college, you gain a new level of responsibility. Like entering college, I had to become very independent. Managing financial aid and your schedule. So that can be a little bit intimidating. Not being satisfied with the major, that is definitely a concern. Getting all applications, time and effort. You guys share some very common things that people often are intimidated by about college, especially the financial cost, because as we know, college can be very expensive, but we will be talking about ways to make it less intimidating in this workshop and in other workshops that we'll be talking about. So thank you guys once again for participating, and it helps me see where you're kind of at in the application process. So let me just reshare my screen so we can continue. Okay, now that we've gotten both Jamboards out of the way, the reason we ask these questions is because it brings us to our next discussion, which is covering some of the common concerns that students have, as well as some insight into these concerns. Can you still hear me? Good. Okay. Okay, my mic isn't moving. That's why I was a little concerned. Okay, so number one concern, and some of you did mention it in the Jamboard, applications are a lot of work. And the fact is, applications are legitimately a lot of work, but there are strategies you can use to make the process a lot less stressful, and we're here to help you with that. So we're going to do a quick poll. We're going to launch a poll where we want to hear from you. Which part of the application process are you most intimidated by? It can either be creating a school list, the personal statement, filling out application forms, the SAT, the ACT if you have to take that, FAFSA, and completing scholarships. In case you're not able to use the poll feature, feel free to chat in your response. I also want to make a note that all these components of the application process might not apply to you if you're planning to apply to community college, because the community college application tends to be simpler. There's usually no personal statement or SAT needed, but you still need to complete the FAFSA and some other paperwork. So I'm seeing a lot of you are intimidated by the SAT and ACT, as well as completing scholarship applications, and the personal statement and application for scholarships are about neck and neck right now. As you can see, a lot of you are intimidated by the SAT, which completely valid, completely understandable. I remember being so stressed about the SAT. I retook it 3 times and my highest score was the first time I took it. So the other times were literally not helpful, but that's okay. And the personal statement can also be intimidating because of how much it requires you to share about yourself, but we will help you with this process and hopefully make it a little bit less intimidating for you. And as for a question I got in the chat, it is completely okay to retake the SAT. It's even encouraged if you want to get a better SAT grade, do not feel bad at all for that. But yeah, thank you guys again for participating in the poll. And if you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat if it's not related to what the slide is talking about. Okay. So some important things I want you to keep in mind. Applications are a lot of work, and it's completely normal to feel intimidated by them and by certain parts of the process, because we may not feel the most confident in certain skills, or we may not have someone to go to for specific help. If you're first gen like me, you might not have someone who went to college before you who you can go to ask questions about the process. But that's why we're here to help. That's why we have Let's Get Ready, and why I'm here to like text you and send you reminders. And you might have people in your own support system that are going to be able to find ways to help you. Speaking of support systems, having one in place can really help. I want you guys to think and reflect who might be part of your network of support. You can either share in the chat or unmute yourself to share who you want to be a part of your support system. Examples of people who you can have in your support system include guidance counselors, teachers, family and friends, and us. Let's Get Ready. If I were to give an example, when I was applying to college, someone who was a part of my support system was my mom, because she's like the main person I go to for help. But yeah, do you guys have anyone you want to have in your support system to help you through the application process? Teacher, counselor, family. Yeah, teachers can be a really helpful one as well because they've been through the process. Family, teachers, my counselor. I would want my mom and college advisor. That's a good one, as well as your sister, parents, my counselor. Your counselor is going to be probably a big help as well because they will know the process very well. Mentor, that's a good one. Mentors are really important, especially once you get into college. I just want to reiterate that we at Let's Get Ready are here to support you with each of these tasks in the coming months and years ahead, because we do stick with you even through the 4 years of college or 2 years of college, whichever you decide. And we'll be holding workshops on some of these topics, and we'll also be sending you guides, tip sheets, and other resources. And if you have any questions, you can email me, not email me, you can text me whenever. And I tend to reply within a day. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to share any insight I can. And lastly, also keep in mind that things will be a lot less stressful if you take it one step at a time. Starting now through December, you guys are still in your junior year, so it would be a big advantage for you to start the process now, making the most of your junior year as well as the summer of your senior year. Leverage the support of your guidance team at school, as well as the guidance and support that we offer. For example, you can start small right now by researching schools, potential schools that you might want to be a part of, etc., to really get through the steps a little bit faster. Not faster, but calmer. Okay. So ultimately, the goal is for you to begin getting comfortable with self-reflection in the coming months. For example, we want you to start identifying your likes, dislikes, what you need in order to help you succeed. And although self-reflection is not on the list of application materials, it's some of the most important work that you'll be doing, because you want to attend a college that's going to be a good fit for you and that will set you up for a successful college journey. Keep in mind, reflection may feel different for each of you, and you are likely to have some clarity about some of your preferences more than others. Like, no one knows you better than yourself, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be attending the college. And we will be here to guide you as you begin to reflect, as well as we'll be asking you questions about what types of colleges interest you. And you might be thinking, what might self-reflection feel like? It can honestly feel like you questioning yourself, like, who am I? What do I want? If you are a very reflective person, you might say, I'm like that. I know who I am. I know exactly what I need. And if that's you, great, because it's going to be really helpful for the application process. You might even start to think, what is my life? What do I like? What are my priorities? These are very important questions as you embark on this college journey, and it can feel intimidating, but we're here to make it a little bit more comfortable. And if you have any questions about this, you can always message me and put it in the chat in the meantime. On to the second concern that a lot of people tend to have, it's being in a new environment. And being in a new environment in general can be very daunting, and college is a big transition moment for everyone. I would like to say that it's a little bit of a bigger deal than like high school, because I thought I was nervous for high school, but I was more nervous for college. And there are students who might feel hesitant to leave family, friends, significant others, and your high school community, or even the place you live if you decide to go out of state, while others can't wait to make new friends, meet new people, and experience new things, and even get outside of their current school or living situation. And I just want to say that these feelings are completely normal. It's even normal to be excited and sad about new changes. Graduating is very exciting, but the thought of like no longer being in the same routine can be very daunting. And it's okay. Emotions will come and go. And starting in a new school is often very hard. Moving to a new community is usually hard, and colleges usually includes at least one or even both of them. So if you're going out of state, you might be in a completely new environment with a new community, or even if you stay in state, you're going to be in a new community, maybe not a new environment, and all the feelings that come with this are completely normal. For example, when I was going to college, one of my big concerns was not having any friends because I actually attended a college where no one else in my high school applied to. So I was literally the only one from my high school going to this college, which, as you can imagine, was very daunting because I literally knew no one. But I will say within 2 weeks of my first freshman semester, I made three friends that I'm still friends with. So, you get through it eventually. So, a part of the process that I think may bring you a little bit of comfort is that you have a lot more agency in choosing the type of school you want to attend, and you choose a place that fits best for you. Like it's completely your choice. You may already know some things about what you like and don't like in a learning environment from your experiences in school up to this point. And these likes and dislikes will be different for each of you. Um, Yes, it will be very different from each of you. Like you're not all gonna have the same preferences, likes and dislikes, and it's okay. We actually want to break you guys up into breakout groups so that you can get to know each other and share a little bit of insight with each other. In these breakout rooms, we want you guys to reflect on the questions in the slide and begin to imagine what you want your college community to look like. Make sure to introduce yourself. You don't need to share anything major, just your name, where you're from, what do you like about your high school community, as well as what do you wish was different about the community. We're aiming for about 6 minutes for the breakout groups. So that gives about 2 minutes for each person to share in the group. Hopefully you meet someone new and maybe you have some common likes and dislikes. But yeah, we'll be opening the breakout room soon. Oh, we have we have some factors listed that you might be considering as you begin to choose a college. So a given college may be the best fit or it might be the worst fit for you based on these factors. These factors include your goals, values, identities, life experiences, personality, preferences, abilities, etc. And you might share some common reasons for choosing a particular school with another person, but you might view them very differently. There are students who may want to be in a college environment that is very different from what they are used to, which can be exciting and intimidating. A benefit to being able to choose the right environment for you is being able to find colleges and communities for an array of groups. Oh, being able to choose a college that has support systems for a different array of groups. So if you ever felt like the other in your high school or your identity was marginalized in ways that did not feel good, researching colleges that are, for example, queer, people with disabilities, or undocumented friendly can be one way of setting yourself up to have a good, strong support system and a sense of community in college. There are different schools that have very different racial demographics. And for many students, it's helpful to consider whether they want to go somewhere that's similar to their high school or different. And if you want to stay close to family and community, you may be able to live at home and commute to school or look for schools that are similar in environment to where you're from. So if you're used to like the rural environment, you can stay in a rural college. If you are more of a city person, then you can find a college that's in the city. Or if you want to experience something different, even though it feels intimidating, that is okay. For example, for me, what feels important in a college environment besides community is acceptance and a sense of belonging. So for me, when I was considering the college environment that I wanted to look for, it was really important that I had some sense of belonging. Without that sense of belonging, I feel like I wouldn't be able to succeed because I would feel very left out. So that's just one of the things that I considered. And we'll be talking more about researching schools soon, but you can start off by Googling schools, find a list of different types of schools that might fit based on any of the above factors and any other factors that are not listed. Now that we've covered a bit about factors that go into choosing a college environment, I want to ask you all to share your opinion on whether you agree with this statement or not. So, the statement is colleges should support our physical, social, and emotional needs. We're going to be launching a poll, and there you can share your opinion um, on this statement. Let's see. Oops. Uh, if you're not able to use the poll feature, feel free to just put it in the chat. So I'm getting a lot of agrees. It's really good. Let's see. Okay. So I think we have I think we have most participants sharing their response. In case you didn't get to share your response, that's okay. You can also put it in the chat. So I'm just gonna share the results so you guys can see. Um, a lot of you agree, which is good. And it's okay if you disagree as well. We're all entitled to our opinions. So now that we've gotten a sense of where everyone's opinion lies, I would like to invite someone to share why they agree with this statement. Feel free to raise your hand or yeah, raise your hand if you want to share why you agree with the statement. Tristan?
Yeah. So I say I agree with the statement because I guess like one, mental health is important, and I feel like it plays some sort of role into college. And also like with the perspective of, first coming to college is like it's very different from high school.
Yeah.
And there's like a need to adjust. And I feel like some colleges they advertise, some of them they advertise like, like to you as a high school student, they say like, okay, we can help you, support you in any way you need to just while you're adjusting to college life because it's 4 years and it's like it's gonna seem like a long time and stuff.
That is very true. There are colleges that will literally tell you from the get-go that they're there to support you. So thank you for sharing your opinion. Brian?
Yeah, so I said agree just because especially in today's world, like having the ability to socialize properly and connect with others like within a career or a field is like incredibly important to a lot of people's success. And
Mhm.
so if colleges don't support people's social and emotional needs, then like where is that going to leave them when they go off into the real world?
That is a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Divya?
Yeah, you said it correctly.
Okay.
I would like to agree with
Mm.
Brian and Tristan that yes, that colleges should support physical, social, and emotional needs because I mean they're all connected greatly. So to not meet all of them would mean that you're kind of faltering in one area, which would kind of bring down the others.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, if I feel like emotions are a very strong thing. If you're not having your emotional needs met or yeah, kind of adjusting properly, then that would affect how you socialize with other people. Then that could
Mhm.
lead to physical health being affected as well. So it's important to meet all three of those needs.
Thank you for sharing. I want to get one more person who agrees, and then before like moving on, I know you guys are very excited. If I don't get to call on you, feel free to just put it in the chat. But can I have Liliana share?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I panicked for a little bit. Um, I said agree, and I think that colleges should meet all of your needs
Mhm.
because it's important for you to be in the right headspace whenever you want to like participate in activities. It like
Mhm.
can affect your academics as well. Like if you're not feeling very accepted or you're feeling kind of like your morale is low to go to
Mhm.
school, you might be less motivated to do well in school.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for sharing. I think you guys shared a lot of the same reasoning for agreeing. So thank you for that. Just some shout outs in the chat. Some shared that stressful environments and the cost. You need to take care of your students, and it's important because you want to remove barriers to success, which is very true. I do want to say if any students did disagree, that is okay. Everyone has different priorities, and it's okay if you're not looking for a school that's gonna meet all these needs. You might be able to prioritize different things in a college. There are other ways to meet our physical, social, emotional needs outside of college, so that's completely fine. For me personally, I did agree with the statement just because at the end of the day, I have come to realize that we are humans before we are students. I had to learn that as a junior in college, having to go through the pandemic. You unfortunately, even when you're in college, life keeps happening, and things are bound to come up that might interfere with your academic success and your academic progress. And you in that moment might need support from your school. It's happened to me and it's happened to many students. I work with college students right now, and there are some that are going through tough times, and they really just need someone to support those emotional, social, physical needs before their academic needs. And the truth is, getting into college is only the first step. Graduating is the real goal. So finding the right school for you and finding a college that is going to make you feel confident that they will support you and in graduating is really important. And for most students, what supports them in graduating goes far beyond learning in the classroom. And is it true that colleges are going to support all three of these needs? No, unfortunately, some colleges just can't. They might only be able to meet one need or two needs, which is why it's important for you to reflect on your own needs and look for colleges where there's alignment with what you need support with and what they can provide you support with. Um, we'll talk a little bit about how colleges can support you in the next slide, but just remember that no matter what it is you feel you need to achieve success, what you want in a school is valid. Well-being, community, and support are just as valid as a good major program that you're interested in, because those things are deeply connected in college success and achieving the goal to graduating from college. Okay. So, oh, okay. So here are just some ways that colleges can support students. Take a moment to read through the list. It shows some examples of supports, clubs, and services that some colleges provide. Keep in mind, every college is different, so these might not be available in all colleges. For example, my college had a variety of cultural clubs, which are under affinity groups. This is just to familiarize yourself with the different ways that colleges can support you. And so looking at this list, can you think of something that you might want to have as part of your college community? Feel free to add it into the chat. As I'm looking on the list, I would definitely add a Hispanic and Latino association or a women's alliance. There's definitely colleges that had it. It's just not on the list. Chloe, is there one that you would add?
Okay, one that I would add maybe is just like at my school, we have a Caribbean Heritage Club, which I think is really nice just because you can connect more specifically. But just generally, I love that a lot of colleges offer Black student unions. Like I have one at my school that's really involved and it helps, especially since it is a PWI.
Yeah, definitely. And there are a lot of, well, unfortunately, let me know, there are some colleges that do not have those types of groups. So if that is a priority for you for a community, definitely make sure to research the schools. Mine thankfully did, and they're very active. Like the BSU at my college is very active, always having such fun events. So definitely if this is something that you guys want to consider, such as the college having cultural clubs, make sure to research the schools. Most colleges have the clubs they offer on their website, so make sure to look out for that. Oh, okay. Community and sense of belonging, as I've been talking about, can be very important, especially when we begin to think about inequality in higher ed. Um, Quick side note, someone mentioned first gen student union and mental health services. Those are really good ones. I think we've noticed after the pandemic, those are very important. But anyways, now that we've talked a little bit about community and what we look for in our own communities and what's going to support us, I do want to discuss inequality in higher ed, which is a bit of a more serious conversation, but we're just going to take a little bit of time to talk about how inequality manifests in higher education. I do want you to keep in mind that outside of what diversity tends to be thought of as, which is usually diversity of racial and ethnic groups, diversity also includes other groups, such as those who live in rural areas, English language learners, undocumented individuals, people with disabilities, Black, Indigenous people of color, men of color within that, queer, low income, and first gen individuals. So as you may know, the history and leadership of this country has resulted in inequality and injustices in society. And these inequities are often reflected in higher education as like in everywhere we go, in every institution that we have. There are some schools that make a real effort to support students of different marginalized identities. There are still some colleges that are predominantly white institutions, but even then, they still make a real effort to support their students who do come from marginalized identities. And I just want you all to remember that you did not create these inequalities. Therefore, you're not responsible for solving them. You deserve to pursue your educational goals and be supported by the college you attend and the community around you. And that we're here to help you support that, and to help you thrive in college. So definitely don't let this discourage you. Like I mentioned, there are schools that make an intentional effort to effectively support different populations. And while the majority of colleges are still PWIs, there are many students of color that share that, you know, their experience wasn't bad. They never felt marginalized, but there are students who have felt marginalized on campuses and in classrooms of PWIs. So once again, I encourage you to research individual schools so that you can get a sense of what BIPOC students have to say, because every school is different and every student's experience is going to be very different and unique. I went to a PWI. I thankfully never experienced any marginalized interactions. I think mainly just because of the people that I surrounded myself with. I will say when the elections came around, it was a different story. But once again, it all depends on the times and the school that you choose to go to. At the bottom of the slide, you'll see that we have listed some types of schools that have been founded and have made it their mission to support different groups of students. And we'll be sharing a doc with a more thorough list of these schools and many different types of schools in the coming weeks so that you can more thoroughly think about what types of schools you're interested in applying to. Some examples of these schools include historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges, Hispanic serving institutions, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander serving institutions, and historically women's colleges. Remember that the choice is yours. There are so many institutions out there for you to choose from. If we're taking into consideration four-year colleges and universities, as well as two-year community colleges, there are a total of 4,360 higher education institutions in the US, and 1,050 of those are community colleges. So that's a lot of institutions to choose from, if you tell me. Every school is unique and community can be found anywhere. And you have so much more agency and choice when it comes to picking a college than you did in high school. And you'll continue to create networks of support that include peers, professionals, mentors that can help you to navigate and thrive during and after college. in high school, you might have had to just attend your local option, what was available to you, or what your parents wanted for you. As we're in college, you get to choose where you go. You're doing the research, you're doing the applications, you're making it your own decision, and you're going to be in charge of choosing the experience that is right for you. The main takeaway we want to share is that entering a new environment is really worthwhile when you reflect on it, because the type of community and environment you want is going to be there for the next 4 years. So it's worthwhile being able to choose it on your own. On to our last concern, we'll be talking about financial cost of college, as well as the value of a college degree. Some of you did share in the Jamboard that college cost was a concern and it was a little bit intimidating. So let's just try to provide more insight into that. So if I could get one volunteer to read through this graphic, I would appreciate it. And then I'll add more. Tristan?
Okay. Understanding sticker price versus net price versus value. Sticker price, a college's published price, tuitions and fees, room and board, etc., minus scholarships and grants, merit or need-based aid money that you don't have to pay back, equals net price, what you actually pay, typically with loans, savings, and income. Value equals educational and lifetime advantages each college offers you as compared to the net price you pay.
Thank you, Tristan, for reading that out loud. So if you look at the sticker price of most colleges, usually the tuition that you see on their website, especially four-year colleges, it's a lot of money. NYU's is like so expensive when you look at it. But we want to clarify that that's rarely the amount that students pay. You'd have to be very wealthy to not receive any financial aid from a college or university. And also many students, not just the highest academically performing ones, receive scholarships from school. So you don't need to have a 99 GPA to get scholarships. You can get scholarships for other reasons. And as you can see, net price is the actual cost of a college degree. This is what's left over to pay after you've received financial aid. And over the next few slides, we'll be zeroing in on net price and the value of college. Side note, there are need-based schools that provide full financial aid to students for the need that they have based on income, not grades. And there are schools with endowments that give more merit-based scholarships, which we can share more info on that. So net price equals income plus savings plus loans. As we saw on the last slide, net or total price is usually paid with a combination of income, savings, and loans. And savings may not be available, and that's okay. Income and savings may come from you or your parents / guardians or both. And there are many students that are awarded work-study jobs that they work during school in order to cover costs. These are usually on-campus jobs that you have that is paid to you, so you can use that to buy textbooks. I don't know how much you guys have heard in the news or how much you've looked into it, but how many of you have been hearing the news about student loans or student debt? Feel free to raise your hand if you've heard about that. Or if you want to put a reaction emoji, that's also okay. So 7 people. Okay. A good amount of you have heard of the student debt, specifically student debt relief, etc. So we just want to share some facts about college debt. 64% of students take on debt in order to complete school. In 2021 alone, nearly 64% of graduates had borrowed money to pay for college, according to data reported to US News. So most students do have to take some debt in order to complete school. The average student loan debt among borrowers, sorry, my English, who graduate is just under 30,000, which sounds like a big number. So let's talk a little bit more about that. here's a little bit more context about student loans. So families with higher incomes tend to have higher student loans. There are colleges that are committed to meeting 100% of financial need. We will be sharing a list of those schools so that you can look into them. Some students don't have to take loans out at all, and many take out much less than the 30,000 average. For example, if you are in New York and you go to CUNY, you might not need to pay any tuition. Or if you go to private colleges that have endowment, you might be able to get a good scholarship for that, or good scholarships. People tend, my computer is dying. People tend to get into crippling debt when they are not treating the money as real money. They aren't trying to minimize the amount of debt that they take on, and they just keep on piling debt. So that's how you can get into crippling debt. So definitely, if you do have to take out loans, you want to be aware and conscious of that money and how it's accumulating. It is estimated that around 1.7 million private scholarships are available. So there are scholarships available for you to apply to no matter how high your academic performance is or what your immigration status is, for example. There are scholarships literally for everyone. And many colleges, especially private colleges with large endowments, even provide full scholarships and tuition scholarships to students with certain academic, athletic, or impressive profiles. For example, I didn't know if you went to a Catholic high school and then you go to a Catholic college, you get a scholarship just for that. And if graduating with as little debt is a priority to you, there are many strategies that you can use to minimize the chances of you accumulating a lot of debt. And in the coming months, we'll be talking about many different ways that you can make college more affordable, and also just helping you decide what would be a good financial aid package. Sorry, my computer. Okay. Wait, if you guys have any, am I freezing? Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my computer is like lagging. Okay, so if you guys have any more questions about loans and debt, feel free to message me. I can try to help you as much as I can and share any resources that we have. But now that we've briefly covered cost and loans, let's talk about return on investment and the value of a college degree. So on the screen, you see return on investment, or ROI. Can anyone guess, either in the chat or unmute yourself, share what you think return on investment means?
Like the benefits. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I guess it's like the benefits that you will earn like after like attending college. And yeah, sorry.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. I'll be honest, I didn't know what return on investment meant, but it means a calculation of the monetary value of an investment versus its cost. And we'll take the next couple of minutes to discuss what return on investment means and what it applies in regards to college. So looking at this chart, what are some things that stand out to you? Please put this in the chat. Like, are there any trends that you're seeing, any gaps that are surprising? How can you tell if the cost of college is worth it based on this chart? And if you're having any trouble like getting an idea of what this chart is trying to say, that is okay. I was also taken aback when I first saw it. But I'll just point out that, as we can see on the chart, the higher the degree, the higher you make. Thank you, someone said it. Those that receive a graduate degree make more money. That is definitely something. Your degree dictates how much you're likely to make, 100%. The chart is showing that. people with higher education make more money. Okay, I think we're all getting the same idea in that the more school you get, the bigger the average earnings are. As you can see, someone with a graduate degree makes way more than someone with a high school diploma. The biggest jumps we see happen between a person who earns a 4-year bachelor's or the graduate degree, and then there is a big difference between high school and a bachelor's degree, that difference is almost about 30,000. Does it cap at graduate or does it keep going to doctorates? So a doctorate degree is considered a graduate degree. Um, let's just say anything master's and above will earn you more money. It is especially worth it when you're pursuing a high paying or high stability career. You're bound to make more money depending on the career you pursue. Um, Feel free to put in the chat if you guys can think of any majors that tend to have the highest return on investment. I think you guys have some idea of what majors can help you earn a lot of money. But engineering, yeah, that's definitely one of them, one of the top ones. Business of economics, yes. Computer science, though business and anything engineering, STEM will earn you a lot of money, um, including nursing, healthcare, architecture is a big one, accounting and finance. So those are the big earning majors. It's also important to note that there are certain career paths that can't be pursued without a specific degree. And there might be employers that prefer or require you to get a certain degree, even if it's not related to the job. For example, if you are planning to do psychology, if you want to do something in the psych field, you most likely need a master's, not just a bachelor's degree. Psychiatrists will earn you a lot more money. Yes, I do want to point out that choosing a career should not just be focused on the money, because this is long term. This is something a lot of people tend to forget. Although earning a lot of money is really good, trust me, I want to earn a lot of money. Who doesn't? But you should also choose something that genuinely interests you. You don't have to be a diehard passionate about this career, but at least have some interest in it to keep you going. Because even on the hard days, if you're interested in what you're pursuing, you're more likely to continue with it than if you choose something that you're just in it for one reason. And if you don't know what you want to do, that's completely fine. There's time. Now, before you send in your responses, I do have some instructions. You can have your answer ready to this prompt, but I'm going to do a 5-second countdown before we send in our responses. And so you're going to be responding to this prompt. The value of going to college isn't just financial. What other investments are you making for yourself? So feel free to prepare your answers, but do not send them in. I'm going to do a 5-second countdown, and then that's how we'll get the waterfall effect. So if you all have your answers ready, I'll do the countdown. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was so nice. Feel free to read through each other's responses. I'm just going to read some out: intellectual investment, a better future, meeting people, making friends, educating yourself, pursuing your passion. Oh, the ability to pursue your passion professionally, that's a big one. Meet people, economical opportunity, furthering your education, etc. Thank you guys for listening to the instructions. The waterfall was so cool. And I definitely agree with a lot of your responses, especially like meeting new people. There's so many people you can meet in college. There's also the opportunity to do study abroad if that's something you're interested in, do lab research, make new friends, as you guys mentioned, expand areas of interest. So you don't just have to study your major, you can pursue clubs and internships with things you're interested in, as well as creating a professional network. And overall, college broadens your perspective. I will say I am a very different person now than I was when I entered college. So it really does help you grow. And I hope that you guys get that same experience when you go to college, and meet new people, because college is filled with a lot of people you've never met before, like international students. Yes. But thank you guys for participating in the waterfall. No. Now, before we begin to close out, we're just going to talk about personal college motivations. We've already started to talk about some of the things we're looking forward to about college, as well as explored some of the common concerns that students have. But at the end of the day, deciding to go to college and deciding what colleges you want to apply to is a personal decision that should be based on you, your goals, your needs, and aspirations. And we call this your personal why. Like, why are you going to college specifically? And your why is what's going to motivate you and carry you forward when you hit bumps in the road, on your ways to your goals, and when times get tough. It will fuel you to do the work that you need to do in order to apply to college, and help you remember that it's worth it. So for the next few slides, we just want to clarify what your why is. Oh, okay. So when we think of motivation, there are two types of motivations. There's intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, also known as internal versus external motivation. And they're different in the sense that intrinsic tends to be internal. An example is the difference between reading a book because you enjoy it versus a book for an assignment. When it's for an assignment, it's more external motivation. You want to get a good grade. When it's intrinsic, you read the book because you enjoy it and you enjoy the plot twists that are in the book. And both reasons are very valid reasons to read a book, because who doesn't want to get good grades and who doesn't enjoy a good book? But according to studies, internal/intrinsic motivations are more likely to result in goal achievement, which is something definitely to consider as you're pursuing college. We've discussed some of the reasons why people decide to go to college, and you all listed a lot of things that fit both of these types of motivations. For example, for me, career-wise, that's an external motivation, but being the first in my family to graduate was my internal motivation. So as you can see, there are two very different forms of motivation, but both motivated me to finish. And you're gonna have the same experiences, and that's completely normal. It's 100% normal to feel connected and motivated by both internal and external motivators, but it is important to find a balance between the two motivators, because you want to get a sense of what's most important to you, so that you can make the right decision and stick with that decision, and so that you can be happy long term. For example, if you value your intrinsic motivation more, then that's going to take more priority than external motivation. So we're going to do like a reflection activity. It's going to be you reflecting on your personal why. This is not going to require you to unmute or share in the chat. This is definitely more personal. I want you guys to write your responses to the prompts on the slide, either in a list or paragraph format. You can write it on your phone or laptop or paper, whichever you have handy. And the prompts are: consider what college motivations you feel, such as personal growth and fulfillment, community or service, how you contribute to the world, family, societal expectations, etc. You don't need to have something for each of these prompts. Many of you won't, and that's totally normal. The purpose is just to consider what motivates you. And remember, there are no wrong answers, and you don't need to share these with the group. This is just intended to bring deeper awareness to what are your motivators. We'll take like 5 minutes for this exercise. You can turn off your camera if you'd like to do the prompt, and then after the 5 minutes, we'll call you back in. And yes, I think, do we set a timer for 5 minutes? I think I'll keep a mental note. So take like 5 minutes. That should be like 7:28. Just to reflect on, what are your motivators, and then we'll come back. Your personal motivations, even though internal motivations tend to be better motivators, there are students who will place importance on external motivators as well. And this is normal and healthy, especially when there's give and take. For example, depending on your situation, it might be more important for you to choose a career that is high paying or a college that is affordable, and that's completely normal. Sometimes we do just have to compromise. It's also overall, it's just important for you to know what matters to you most. For example, if your parents want you to stay close for college, but you want to maybe get a little bit of distance from your parents, then you can compromise, hopefully work out something, a compromise with them, so that you both get agreements on both sides in terms of that. And in order to make decisions that are aligned with what we want for ourselves, we need to get clear on what our top personal motivators are. And these will ultimately guide our decision making process, and show us that we're willing to compromise, and it'll help us determine what we're willing to compromise on and what we're not willing to compromise on. So feel free to keep reflecting on your personal why and motivations, because like I mentioned, next week I will be asking you about them. You don't have to share anything right now, and there are no wrong answers. At the end of the day, whatever's right for you is right for you, and no one's going to know that more than you. In closing, today we talked a little bit about common concerns related to college and how some of the most common concerns can be navigated and minimized. You also reflected on your personal motivations for going to college and which of these motivations are more important for you. And this is just the beginning of the conversation. We'll be talking a lot more about what kind of college experience you want, especially as we begin to create your school list. So while we probably haven't resolved everything that you're wondering about, we hope that we at least provided some insight. And if any questions do come up, you can always reach out to me. I am your coach after all, so you can always send me a message. Um, I know we talked a lot about what was covered today. I know we talked a lot today. Oh, my brain. But in the coming messages, we will be diving deeper into what was discussed in these workshops and what will be discussed in future workshops. So you don't need to feel comfortable or confident about everything we covered today, because there is still time. Junior year is a great time to start planning and get ahead of everything and begin to do your reflections and create exciting school lists and strong applications. It's also a great time to begin building relationships with teachers and guidance counselors, because you're going to need recommendation letters, and you want to choose someone who believes in you and who knows who you are. I know junior year is over, but you still have some months, so don't give up. And we will be sharing the recording to this afterwards. And let's see, for the next workshop, we'll be talking about how you can maximize your junior year. I know it's almost ending, but don't worry, we will help you problem solve. And don't feel like you have to respond to me every time I text you, because you're welcome to reach out whenever. I know you feel like you have to respond in the moment, but don't worry, you can respond to me whenever you want. And we will be sending a feedback survey for this. We have a feedback survey for this workshop. So if you guys could please take the time to fill out the survey, it would be greatly appreciated. Sarah, who's been our lovely moderator for this workshop, just put it in the chat. We really want to hear how you felt about the workshop and what we can do differently to make it a better experience. So while you take the time to answer that workshop, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I know it's a little bit past 7:30, so you by no means need to stay on. But definitely if you can fill out that survey, it would be greatly appreciated.